We're now a couple days into Season 2.5, and Marvel Rivals has a couple problems that they have to address. Overall, though, I think this season has been good. Ultron, I'm actually a big fan of. I think that style of support is a really, really good addition to the game. However, there's a couple egregious issues that I think still need to be addressed in Rivals. Obviously, the sustain can be ridiculous in the game, and I think it'd be better overall if they attempted to tune things like Rocket Raccoon down, who can just churn out healing without really a second thought. And I think they should do more designs like Ultron in the support role that are more proactive instead of just being reactive spam heal bot. I think that takes away from the magic of the game. But I'm going to show you this clip on Twitter from my buddy Light about the new Hawkeye Luna team up and why it needs to get changed to be. This is a big problem for Rivals. Take a look at this clip.
Yeah, this is what y'all wanted. Just remember, that is what y'all wanted. That right there is what y'all all wanted. Clip that shit right now. Clip it right now. Iron Fist was broken, so we got this instead.
After everybody complained about dives so much, which to be fair, it did need to get nerfed. Things like Captain America were way too strong. It looks like this kind of pokey meta is almost back. And the big issue that I have with this Hawkeye team up is the fact that it goes right through walls. A character like Hawkeye cannot have that type of ability even if it's on a team up and it's a situational combo. You just can't do it. The game is not fun when you're getting pegged by a Hawkeye across the map with an ice beam that goes through a wall. Even I was getting kills like this, and it kind of just felt very, very gimmicky. I think the team-ups, they need to be things that assist the character that actually change the play style, not just outright brute force ability. Like, this is textbook, absolute brute force, but understandably is one of the more frustrating characters to play against in the game due to his one-shot mechanic, which is what you saw in that clip. There is not a less fun meta to play than the hard poke metas in this genre, especially with one-shot characters, whether it be in Overwatch or whether it be in Marvel Rivals. It doesn't really matter what game it's in. It takes away from the game where you have all these crazy interactions and the heroes or the toys you get to play with. When there's not even an interaction, you're instantly one-shot out of the game. And there's a freeze mechanic on top of it. That's just going to be a little bit over the top for me. And I understand strategist players last season were very, very upset about playing against the dive and how it was not fun. And I hear you. And I think that there needed to be some tune down to dive. But the answer, in my opinion, is not to give the best poke characters in the game crazy team-ups that pierce through everything. I think that everything in Rivals should get tuned back just a bit. I think the big concern that Danny Koob, the executive producer at Rivals, has is the fact that they feel like they want everyone to be a superhero. And that's great. You can still capture those identities and the things that makes these characters, like, you know, feel like they're from the Marvel comics, like Human Torch being fiery and explosive, or Luna Snow supporting her team, ice abilities that are super, super sick. You can still capture those identities without having things that are oppressive and unanswerable, like shooting this ice team up through a wall to kill people and one-shot KO a lot of people in the game. It's just not the right answer. So that's one big problem that they're going to have. The second big problem they have is the sustain still has not been addressed, right? And I know dive is really good. Strategists, oh my God, they're so good. The amount of just raw healing numbers in this game. I saw a tweet, I forget who it was from, talking about how like the damage numbers in Rivals are so insane or whatever. But that's really not the case. And what backs that up is the amount of raw healing stats that players can put up. The support and the healing in Marvel Rivals numbers is significantly more than the ability to do damage for 90% of the cast. There's a lot of DPS heroes in this game that when somebody's being pocketed, no matter what they do, they cannot out damage the healing that is going onto that target. And I'm not saying that necessarily needs to get changed, or, you know, obviously if you're playing Hawkeye or Hela, that's why you've seen so many of those big burst damage characters really been the go-to for a lot of people. But to say that supports in general aren't able to output an enormous amount of healing, it's just wrong. It doesn't mean the support's not unfun or doesn't have problems where it can't be effective, where you feel like you're pumping out heals and your team's feeding. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But if you were going to mano-y-mano here and compare the two things, the heal output in the game is insanely strong. It's insanely strong. And I'd be okay with them taking down healing and taking down some of the top damage dealers' damage as well. I think there's a bit of a middle ground. Rivals is going to operate in extremes. That is the nature of this game. That is what they're going for. The point of the game is to be super, super over the top, right? They've made that very, very clear. And it seems like each season something comes out, the big draw is the over the top things. Another example, Storm Sharknado. There's no way to beat the Sharknado unless you Iron Man ult it, which is what I learned yesterday. So, again, another instance of a team up that is literally meta defining. It's cool. The Sharknado is cool, but I think there should be more ways to play around it. I'd like them to tune down things like Luna Snow. So instead of putting the Sharknado in the game to answer those busted support ults that you can't beat, right, just by out damaging them, support ults should get brought down and reined in to be more like a Mantis ult. I think Mantis ult and even Susan's Storm ult to some degree is where support ults should be in the game, and I think DPS ults should get tuned to be very similar to those things as well. And I think that would help the game a lot without making playing strategy just be insanely unfun, because you can keep a lot of the big heal numbers in the neutral if you choose to, as long as there's vulnerability in the ult fights, right? But I think they need to pick one, and the answer is not Hawkeye freezing people through walls and then one-shotting the player or one-shotting the team. Those are not the type of characters that should get those abilities. Those types of abilities should go on things like Punisher. They should go on characters that don't have the big burst one-shot potential, insta-fight win, or insta-stall out the fight forever. Those types of strong team-ups should go on characters like Mantis that actually have vulnerability. And I think that would make the game feel much, much better. But giving these things like these one-shots to these characters, not, I think, the best avenue for them to go. The rest of the team-ups and all that stuff, I think, are very, very cool. But if they can figure out a way to tune down the sustain without making dive hyper-broken, I think the game is in a great, great spot, and just don't give Hawkeye the freeze through the wall stuff. Like, I'm going to exploit it, just to be blunt. I'm going to exploit it 100%. But these extremes in the neutral fights are getting to be a little bit too much, and I already talked about that in my stalling problem in Marvel Rivals. That still hasn't been fixed, but these team-ups this season are insane. I'm looking forward to trying them out. What do you guys think? Do you think the team-ups are too good? Do you like this Hawkeye change? You guys let me know down below. But I think these team-ups are the most OP team-ups they've put in the game at all, and I'm excited to actually get in there and play them today. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Take care, much love. Peace out.